All I'm going to say is run, Gladys, run, run for the hills from whence cometh your help, because your mother means you no good. Your mama means herself good, but she means you, Larry, nor Mr. Russell any good, in my personal opinion. Let's get into it.
Only apply that. Get it, don't be timid when you ain't apply that. Love up on it. Give along, leave it. I don't want no trip, baby, spend like it.
Here. My name is Ashley, and this is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all things TV and movie related, and I am here to put you on, okay? Episode 3, we're kind of just off the cuffs of a lot of changes in status, in society, in betrothals, and all of those things. So, just to give you a quick rundown, we know that Auntie Ada lost the love of her life when her husband passed away. However, we discovered that he had left her a great sum of money. Although he had taken on the cloth, right? He still let the businesses flourish that his family had because they were supporting so many different people. And so when he passes, everything was left to Ada. And now she's in position to save the household, the family name, Auntie Agnes, and Oscar from Oscar's terrible, terrible decision. While Oscar was out gallivanting, trying to deceive women, when all he really wanted was a good piece of dingling, right? He lost the family's fortune, all of it, investing with this woman he thought was going to be his beard for his lavender marriage. And that all went to hell in a handbasket. He tried to get it back. We've discovered that since that time, he's lost his job at the bank. There's just nothing good coming for Oscar. And honestly, Oscar doesn't deserve anything good, in my opinion. We also discovered that Bertha Russell, across the street with her raggedy tail, decided that she was going to pimp out her daughter in order to fill the Metropolitan Opera House. And I just want to know, Bertha, is it worth it? Was it worth it? Because now we kind of know that there's innuendo floating around that the Duke and Gladys will be together, right? And again, this is all at the behest of Bertha Russell, who, again, it wasn't just about the Metropolitan Opera House, it was also about status, right? He is the Duke of Buckingham. And so, what this would do to the family's name, the family's status, the rise in position would be palpable to everyone, and everyone would have to take notice. And ultimately, that's what she wants. But we know towards the end of season 2 that Mr. Russell had a sit down with Gladys and said, I'm going to allow you to marry for love. This was when Oscar was trailing after her, again, looking for a new beard. And so now we're in this precarious situation where the promise has been done behind the scenes between Mrs. Russell and the Duke of Buckingham, and it's slowly being meted out to everyone. We also found out that during that time, Gladys has found an affection to one Mr. Carlton, Billy Carlton, right? Who comes from a great family. But, he's just an average Joe. And she adores him. He adores her. And again, Mr. Russell promised her that she would be able to marry for love, not for influence or any of those things. Miss Scott has quit the paper, of course, because this man is married and clearly wanting to carry on with Mrs. Scott, but Mrs. Scott thought better of it. So she quit the paper and is throwing her endeavors elsewhere now. I think that's kind of like the housekeeping from season 2, everything we need to know. Oh, Larry, Russell, and Miss Brooks got to kissing on the doorstep after the opera. And this is what it always needed to be. We know that she had brutally rebuffed Dashiell last season in a time where we might have needed that coin the most. But she followed her heart and said, I love your daughter, but I'm not in love with you. You're still in love with your dead wife. All right. So now we have Larry and Miss Brooks who are seemingly on a new path, which again is what I want for them ultimately. Now let's get into season 3, episode 1, who's in charge here. So as the episode begins, we are in the Old West, honey. Wells Fargo. We are on the Pacific Railroad. damn it, and we're out west pioneering at this point. And Mr. Russell is there, and basically he is trying to make inroads. He wants the land. There are a ton of mines. We know that this was probably in an era where they were rushing for gold and minerals or whatever was in those mines, and he wants the land. He's always been a landman. We know that Mr. Russell is forward thinking in business, as we saw last season. Whether for better or for worse, it's who he is. And so now he's working on a land deal with the mine owners there, and again, it's about the land for him, not the mines. Get us the land, let them keep the mines, but give us the land. We'll see how that goes. Again, all of the mine owners there are like, listen, we know you're rich, and we know we may never be as rich as you, but you're going to put us on. In the midst of all this, he gets a telegram that's basically like, you need to get back to New York because the bank is failing. And he's like, if this bank fails, I'll lose a fortune. He leaves his second in command, who's really a terrible person. We learned that this man was terrible last season when he said fire on everybody during the labor union discrepancy, right? And so he leaves him down there to garner the guild. He's going to go back home, but he's also needed for Gladys because Bertha is, of course, up to no good. Ada is back, honey, and really is she's in charge because the person who has the gold makes the rules. We know that, and Agnes is having a hard time about it. So is the staff because who do I report to? I'm getting conflicting records. Do I work for Miss Ada? Do I work for Miss Aunt Agnes? Who is in charge here? And my thing is it really that deep? I mean, they're both in charge, you know? Do we need a clear vision, and how long can this last? Because Auntie Agnes is not to be trifled with, but I must admit I love seeing Auntie Ada have a voice. And so now she has a voice, but she also has a purpose, and that is the Temperance League. And if you don't know what temperance was, it was basically no liquor, all right, no substances. And so they're on a crusade to basically ban all alcohol. And this is her passion. She feels like the world would be better without alcohol. It causes a ton of the ills of the world. And Agnes says, listen, that's dumb. Why would you do that? Your husband drank wine and served wine to the parishioners for communion. And she says, this is what I feel passionate about. I'm doing it in his honor. I have purpose, and I have a cute coin that I can use to do this. She says it's a scourge. And again, she's going to do what she wants to do. Ada has autonomy now. She's got some coin and she has a voice. I love this for her. Of course, we remember that Miss Scott, like I said, had quit the paper in season two. And now she has to get back to 61st Street. It looks like she has spent some time with her family. And now it's time to get back to work in her secretarial capacity. But in the midst, she's also still writing. And we find out this episode that she had sent a query for one of her books and it's been picked up. So there's a possibility she's going to be putting this book out, and I'm super, super excited for Miss Scott. Bertha is preparing for the Duke because he's coming, but don't tell my kids. Don't tell Larry and Gladys. And in this episode, I think they do a really great job. What we hadn't been able to see before is really the close knit relationship that Gladys and Larry have as brother and sister. He's spiriting her away, honey. He's like, let's go to the opera. You can have your little date with Mr. Carlton, and I can be all about Miss Brooks. It's very cute. And of course, he is all about Gladys being able to marry for love, not at the whims of their mother. Gladys is meeting with her boo, knowing at this point what her mom's plans are, but trusting that her father is going to do right by her because, my dad is going to win. That's what she keeps saying. I don't buy it because for whatever reason, I don't know if it's a root that Bertha has on Mr. Russell. I don't know if she has that special power down there. I don't know what it is, but there's no way in this world that Mr. Russell bends and breaks his back for her the way that he does, that acquiesces to all of her wishes and whims. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in her face. It doesn't make sense in her disposition. It doesn't make sense in any of that. Bertha's not a likable woman at all. It gives, and then she's obsessive on top of that about all of these things that really don't matter in the big scheme of things. And I really try to put myself back in the time, and I still can't make it make sense. Your acceptance in society is that deep to you, knowing where you came from, knowing the struggles you endured, knowing what you've built with your husband, that's still your priority. You've already done the work. You've already prepared the way for your children so they don't have to go through what you went through, but it's not enough. You know what I mean? It's like for the woman who it's not enough is never enough for her, in other words. And I really can't stand Bertha. I really can't stand Bertha. Miss Brooks and Larry again are, playing around with it, but she is like, listen, Auntie Agnes told me last season, all right, that 3 strikes, I'm out. I've already had 2 betrothals go haywire. I can't suffer through a third. I won't survive a third in society. But he's like, I want to tell everybody now. We know how Larry gets down. We know how Larry was with the widow last season. Larry loves hard, right? And fast. And she's like, let cooler heads prevail. Let's use some discretion. It's only been 6 months since the breakup with Dashel. So let's give it some time, but they're still spending a ton of time together. They're still stealing kisses. And ultimately we'll see where that goes. But baby, that's your man. That's your man and that's your match. Um, Agnes is being very, very icky. The not the suffrage meeting, because that's Agnes's call. Apparently, her purpose is the suffrage movement, getting the vote out for the women, and that's what she's going to be passionate about this season, allegedly. But she says that the temperance people can't use her silverware. She said they can't use it. And again, the house staff is just in a tizzy because of what's going on. While all of this is happening, Aurora Fane, we remember Aurora, who was not so easily swayed by Bertha, but was kind of bribed and threatened by Bertha to ingratiate her to the other ladies, which, it partially worked. But now Aurora Fane's husband, honey, is leaving her. And for another woman, honey, leaving her. And because in that time, the only grounds for divorce was adultery, he can't file for divorce against Aurora. So Aurora would have to file for him, which he's fine with. But Aurora says, this will ruin my life. And we discover quickly that she'll no longer be accepted in society. He wants to put her out to pasture at Newport. He feels like she'll have a better time of it out there. But again, being a divorcee apparently was a scarlet letter. And honestly, I was really, really shocked at Aunt Agnes and Aunt Ada's response. Like, we can't have you to dinner, talking about she'll probably be happier alone. Aurora says she's not going to take any action yet, but I think life is going to be untenable until she finds that divorce. I think that husband of hers, who clearly doesn't give a damn about her, is going to do his best to make it as uncomfortable as possible for her. And honestly, other than being, kind of a weak-willed, mousy woman, she doesn't seem bad. She's never stepped out on him. She seemingly loves her husband. She was barren, so they didn't have any children. But what does this mean for her? What does this mean for her life? She's really been a secondary character up to now. So I will really be interested to see where they take her character this season because, again, they threw it at us right here. Again, I love Ada, all independent. She is talking kind of about Oscar to Agnes and is like, what are we going to do with them? And Agnes is like, do you want me to put him out? And she says, no, I'll provide his food, his housing, but he does need to come up with a plan. And he says, well, Miss Brooks, you've been spending a lot of time with Mr. Russell. And I know that even though his father, is who he is, he still gets after it because we know he was instrumental with the bridge project last season. And now he's working with Jack on the clock situation. And I think it'd be great if he came over for dinner and he could be a good influence to Oscar. Agnes is like, I don't agree. Ada said, invite him because it's my house, my money, and my man, right? So that's where we're at with that. At this point, Mr. Russell needs to come back because, again, Bertha is beside herself. I'm ready for him to come back. Oscar later appeals to Auntie Ada and is like, can I have an allowance? And she's like, hell no. What I'm not about to do is take care of a full grown man. She said, I've done the basic for you, so you're not out here on the streets, destitute, selling Boochie Cat out here, right? You have food, you have a room, you have board, you have all of those things, but you're going to have to get a job. Like, get a job, get a job. And basically, he's of the mind that he was built to be rich. He ain't like Mr. Russell. He was born to be rich. He wasn't built to get it out the mud. And my thing is, you need to do what you're going to do. I did watch the preview or the little recap of the season, the upcoming season, and it's looking like his man is going to give him a cute coin or put him on, get him a job doing something. We'll see. This is what really pissed me off. If you remember last season, you remember Jack, who was a junior footman in the Van Ryn household, had gotten his patent pushed through for his alarm clock, right? Big deal. And so he's partnered with Larry Russell across the street to, get this off the ground and get it going. Jack is on cloud nine. Everyone supports him in the Van Ryn household, except for damn Armstrong. But Armstrong is a demon from the pits of hell, so I wouldn't expect any more from her. But he's interacting with Mr. Russell, and he goes over to the Russell home, and apparently Mr. Russell, Larry, offers him a cup of coffee, and the footman has to get it to him. Well, later on, Adelaide, with her raggedy tail, is like, "You're getting above your station, Jack. You're trying to rise too far. Larry's not going to put you on. He's not going to do anything for you. And if he does, how dare you come over here and make a senior footman wait on a junior footman? Adelaide, go to hell." This is the type of person you do not want in your circle. The type of person who causes doubt, who causes fear, trepidation, that won't fully let you walk into the new season of your life. Kick those types of people out of your life. I want Adelaide to kick rocks with open toe shoes. I cannot stand her. Get her the hell out of here. And my thing is, Jack, he says to her, we don't have to be who our parents were. This is a new time. This is America. We can be anything we set our hearts and minds to. And I'm like, don't educate. Don't waste your breath on this wretch, this scallywag. All right. Let her stay where she wants to be, Jack, because you're on to bigger and brighter things. And of course, Auntie in the kitchen in the Van Ryn household says, listen, don't pay attention to that. And don't tell Larry about it. This is your shot. This is your chance to make good. And I believe that's exactly what he's going to do. But the question remains, is Larry playing Jack? If he did this, it will completely subvert expectation because that's never been in his character from what we've seen up to this point. Miss Brooks wouldn't be having it. So I know it's on the up and up, but all it takes is that little demon voice to whisper a doubt that can make you ruin everything of your own free will and volition. So I want better for him. I don't think that's the thing. Miss Carlton, Billy's mama, comes over to see Miss Russell all about Gladys. When are they going to announce their engagement? And Bertha's mad, pulls Larry to the side. What's going on? What's the meaning of this? I'm going to have what I want to have. I want more for my daughter. She can set the trend. She can be this, she can be that. When ultimately, Bertha's motivations are purely selfish. I do think that she loves her children in the way that she knows how to love. However, I don't think it's good enough. I think that her desire for status supersedes the wants, needs, desires, and best interests of her children. I'm going to just say that. I think Bertha is the worst. Now we're back at the Van Ryn household, and Miss Scott is sick as a dog. I'm like, she better not have typhoid or the plague or anything like that. But they call the doctor in, and the doctor refuses to see her because she's colored. You're a colored. And now I hope and feel that Auntie Agnes is going to be on a tirade and a rampage to get this doctor quelled, because how do you not see a sick patient? And Ada says, isn't that against the Hippocratic oath? So now we have to get a telegram immediately to her parents and get help for her, because the dad, and Ada said, her dad runs a pharmacy. Her daddy owns the pharmacy. Ada, get it together. But we'll see what happens with Miss Scott. We see her in the rest of the season, so she don't die. But what's going on? What's really, really, really going on? You guys, I enjoyed it. Was it my favorite episode? No, but I do think it was a solid opening premiere episode for season 3 of The Gilded Age. I'm looking forward to all the drama and intrigue of it all. I'm excited to see Felicia Rashad come through this season. I think it's going to be exceptional. You guys drop it in the comments. Let me know what you thought. If you're still here after all of that, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of the things, and I will see y'all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.